It's not easy to find. But anyway, so I did that, and then last night I went down to the Comedy Store, and they had actually had a memorial service for Robin Williams, and it was awesome, man. It was, just like so many people from back in the day came out that were down there. I'm wondering when the last time all of that group of people were down there. And they were all telling stories. It was like, I got there late, unfortunately. But Norm Macdonald, Yakov Smirnoff had some great stories. Jackson Purdue. Then there's a couple of people that were in part of his improv group. We're all telling all these great stories, and it was a really great thing. But I got to tell you, man, that was... it's not like I knew the guy or anything, but that was brutal. Fucking brutal when I heard the news about that one. That one really, there's one of those things where you think, yeah, I love that guy. I love his movies. I think that guy's hilarious. You don't realize it, and then something like that happens. You're just like, wow, man, I had no idea how much that guy affected me. I did get a chance one time to do a show with him. He always... he would just come down to clubs. I'd always heard about it. I know he did it. He lived up in San Francisco, but people were saying, like, yeah, there's this open mic he went to every single week. Bartnick told this great story about how he was at a concert. He was kind of like the unofficial mayor of, like, San Francisco when they needed, like, a laugh or something. Like, I guess Bartnick was at some big concert, and it was an outdoor thing, and it rained. And... so they're like, apologize, everybody, the bands can't go on. Everybody's standing there fucking looking like a bunch of fucking wet shelter dogs and stuff. And Robin Williams was in the crowd, and he just went up on stage in like a fucking rain poncho and did 45 minutes in front of a soaking wet, angry crowd that wasn't getting their show. And he just did like a headlining set. And then in the end, like, the sun was coming out, and he's like, all right, the bands are coming out, blah, 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 and just went right back into the crowd. It was like a zillion stories like that I heard. And so anyways, I was doing, Jeff Garland had this show he does every now and again down at the UCB. And it's this really cool format. In the end, he has like this improv game called the Combo Platter. And it's basically, they pick a subject, and each person has to go up and riff on it for 5 minutes. And then you sit down, and then the next round is you go back up again, but anybody can interrupt anybody at any time. And it just starts going, you just start adding to whatever they're doing. And one night I went down there, and I was doing the show with them, and Robin showed up, and Garland knew him and everything, and they went in with the show, and I actually got to do improv. I was standing right next to him doing improv. I literally felt like I was on Comic Relief, I mean, we were sitting in the chairs, right? It's just like such a fucking weird moment, but I was sitting in the chair next to him. He had that thick arm hair. It's like the space between us was a little tight, but it wasn't anywhere where we still should have been touching, but his arm hair was so fucking thick, it actually was touching my arm. I had to move my arm. I remember thinking all those jokes that he used to do about how he felt like he was wearing a sweater and all that type of thing. But it was obviously one of the great things I ever got to do. And fortunately, because he was such an open guy and such a nice guy, sweet guy, he didn't come in with that, I've been doing this forever, get out of the way, kid. He didn't have that vibe at all. He was like a really vulnerable kind of vibe, that because he came with that vibe, I was actually able to like enjoy it as it was happening rather than look back on it and be like, oh, I got to do that, but I was so in my head I had to like knock him down, That's like something I have to do sometimes when I get a gig that's so big. I literally have to develop a certain level of hatred for this person that I don't hate. I have to be like, what, fuck this guy for making me feel so fucking uncomfortable with his success or whatever. But the way Robin was, you didn't have to do that when you're around him. So, thanks to Jeff Garland for fucking, having that show so I could have that memory. But it's definitely a huge, huge, huge fucking indescribable loss. And it just sucks. I hate that it ends that way. So, anyways, isn't that happy? Isn't that happy to fucking have to talk about that? Yet another fucking person in this business. What was fucking weird is I got like 3 texts within 24 hours of Robin's death, asking me if I was okay and then telling me not to kill myself. And that just struck me as funny. Like, it's like depression and suicide are not like a like a stand-up. Like if a fucking plumber kills himself, do people reach out to other plumbers? Hey, man, I know you haven't got a lot of sinks lately. It's been mostly toilets, and just reaching out that it's going to turn around. Look, I'm not a fucking doctor, but I know that shit. It definitely affects, a lot of people. I mean, I've dealt with, unfortunately, and it's been people outside of stand-up. Let's see, I gotta count. I think it's 3. Yeah, 3 people that I know, committed suicide. It's fucking brutal, man. It's really fucking brutal. And so I got this, I don't know. I see somebody start to go down that the depressed road. It's just fucking, it's so hard to get them off it. I don't know. All I know is it sucks. So, back to the podcast. Anyways, what am I going to talk about this week? Let's just continue with